Could you eat a meal this big for a year and lose weight? If you follow me at all, you already know the answer. This is the Ridiculously Big Salad. I am Amanda Rose, founder of Eat Like a Bear. We're having massive success with this meal approach. The book has made national press. This book was on the cover of a national magazine. And the third book, in digital only as I record this now, is about to make national press as well. What we eat has been very highly effective for weight loss. The social proof behind this is insane. You've probably seen the century count on the website. When we talk about century bears here at Eat Like a Bear, we talk about people who've lost over 100 pounds. We have so many. We have a database. We keep count of them on the website. I have never seen any weight loss platform do this before, but we do it here at Eat Like a Bear. And if you followed me for long, you've probably found these live video recordings on YouTube where I discuss the origin of Eat Like a Bear, all of the unusual events that lined up to lead us to this very unexpected place of now over 100 century cases, 100 people who've lost over 100 pounds. I'll direct you to our origin story with links to those videos. And there are many stories, but one that I want to highlight right now is something that happened to me in March of 2019 when this community was only about 9 months young. The details of the story are very interesting, but the punchline of it is I made the life-changing decision on that day in March of 2019 when I was only not even a year into maintenance at that point, and unexpectedly leading this community. I decided that everything that I would do as a leader of the community, I would measure against, does this activity of mine increase the success rate of the community? Will it help us lose weight better, faster? Whatever that thing that I am doing, will it move forward our community's success rate? That was March of 2019, and it was May of 2021 when the Eat Like a Bear leaders and I showed up in Orlando to surprise Sandra, our 100th century bear, just 2 years later. But the fact is, I still measure my time against that factor. And for all of the success that we've had in this community, I want more. I want to do better. I want more. We know that this works because we have the evidence for it. We know variations of this work. People get in, they find their own groove with it. It works and it's necessary. But I've certainly learned over these 3 years of leading the Eat Like a Bear community that what we eat to lose weight is necessary, but it's not sufficient to drive massive weight loss and, more importantly, internal transformation. It's taken 2 years for me to better understand why, and this is what I want to talk about today. In that same origin story, you will find a story about me in my first month, in the early days in which I was doing this, in that unique moment that I was in my life that's led to this point right here in this whole community. And I've looked back on it and I've wondered how much of that can we replicate? And the fact is, much of that is highly unique. And you might be interested in that story as well, because what we found and what research tells us over and over and over again is that while as human beings, we're very adaptable. We adapt ourselves to new situations all the time. However, there are some situations in which we really need to fight for change. Weight loss is certainly one of those situations. How can we do better at Eat Like a Bear? How can we have even more success if we can't go back and replicate those months, that psychology that I lived in the fall of 2017? How can we still create structures that will drive our success? I am all about creating strategic structures. In fact, you guys do know, so I have a PhD. I am a doctor in political science, okay? So do not ask me to cast your broken leg or to write you a prescription, but if you want to know about strategic structures for your own life, for politics, for voting, for public opinion, and how to eat, I am your girl. And so how can we create structures that will increase our success? And today I am introducing you to a new structure in the Eat Like a Bear community that I make available to you. And these are highly strategic structures implemented in a community. These structures are based in strategic decision-making and social choice theory. This is my area as a social scientist. But allow me to give credit to who inspired this whole new community called Transform. And you can check this out for yourself. I direct you to Alan Deutschman's article in Fast Company called Change or Die. And he presents a very interesting question. I am going to read from the book by the same title, Change or Die. What if you were given that choice for real? What if it weren't just the hyperbolic rhetoric that conflates corporate performance with life or death? Not the overblown exhortations of a rabid boss or a maniacal coach or a slick motivational speaker or a self-dramatizing chief executive officer or political leader. We're talking about actual life and death now, your own life and death. What if a well-informed, trusted authority figure said to you you had to make difficult and enduring changes in the way you think, feel, and act? If you didn't, your time would end soon. A lot sooner than it had to. Could you change when change really mattered? When it mattered most? Yes, you say? Try again. Yes? You're probably deluding yourself. That's what the experts say. They say you wouldn't change. Don't believe it? You want odds? Here are the odds that the experts are laying down. They're scientifically studied odds. 9 to 1. That's 9 to 1 against you. How do you like those odds? How many of us have been told by our doctors to lose weight, or that blood pressure, that cardiac condition is about to catch up with us and we will die? And how many of us have continued to struggle with actually losing the weight? And so Alan Deutschman shines a big bright light on this and says, you know, in actual real life situations where people are faced with that actual decision, you better change. You're about to have bypass surgery. So you have your bypass surgery, you go back home, maybe you clean things up for a couple of weeks, but then 3 years later, you need another bypass surgery, essentially because you didn't do all the things, you know, eating more vegetables, laying out in a hammock a lot more and not worrying about life quite as much, maybe taking up some yoga, all the things that are going to reduce your risk of more blockages. You did not do those things. In fact, 90% of people in that actual situation don't do those things that they ought to do to avoid that next bypass surgery or whatever it is, okay? We are faced with this in weight loss all the time. We know it's affecting our health. I mean, especially getting to the high weights, you guys, and you know, I'm 52, so you get up into the ages, into the high weights, it's affecting you. It's absolutely affecting you. And your doctor says, you know, even if you lost 30 pounds or whatever it is, you will really reduce your risk. And we still struggle with that. In fact, 90% of us struggle with that. That statistic blew me away because I'm realizing all of the success that we're seeing with our century bears and all that, you guys, they represent about 10% of us, okay? We would be seeing even more massive success in this community if we could structure our lives for lasting change. The great thing is that Deutschman and others have really shone a light on the path for us and some of the things that we can do every single day to ensure that in a year from now, we have lasting lifestyle changes in place so that we can not only lose the weight, but keep it off forever and continue to live the awesome lives that we're able to live down at these life-changing maintenance weights. So much change for us comes naturally and we adapt so well. But what about the changes that don't? That is what we are talking about here. And people have run off with this very salad and changed their lives. And they are likely part of that 10%. And God bless them. And frankly, I apparently am part of that 10% myself. But as I chase this metric of increasing our success rate, I realize we have a lot more success in front of us if we can stay focused in, get the consistency that we need in our lives, establish the structures of change, and do it in a supportive community supportive of our goals among a core demographic that gets it. So as fair warning to those of you who've landed in here, maybe even accidentally, you will notice in our community that we are strongly represented by women over 50 who have always struggled to lose weight. We welcome anybody into our community, but when I talk about people who get it, older women who've always at least been chunky, get it. Okay. And we are seeing massive results among that very population. So awesome. This community here at Eat Like a Bear is a paid community, and I am so proud to announce that this community costs less than your Starbucks habit. I am so proud of that point. My goal from the beginning was to be able to provide resources at a very low, affordable cost. This is a mission that we are on, as you know, if you've been in the community for long at all. And the community aspect is a big part of the fire. The fact of the matter is, what is driving our success is seeing people ahead of us on the path who look a lot like us, who are inspiring us, who are showing us the way. And I'm so proud that I was able to do that with the video, A Postcard from Yellowstone, but it is not lost on me that the growth of this community is due to the many other success stories behind me. And I hope everyone who's engaged in this community sees that not only are they getting value from watching everybody else, but they are providing their own value by all of the people who come up behind them. And it's in this spirit that we are working actively to create a success culture in this community, and one that will drive lasting change. To this end, we have tenets. Our pillars of focus are 5. They are based on my background in social choice theory. Social choice comes out of mathematics and economics and typically describes some sort of strategic behavior and decision making. And in this case, the application is weight loss. And there are actually scholars who study social choice theory and weight loss. Who knew? I didn't know as I was studying public opinion and voting all those years ago, but I lean on it now. This is my anchor. It's my theoretical anchor. And social choice theory has very specific ways it would think about these 5 pillars that I'm going to present to you today. And the activities, the goals, the discussions in this group really do all end up rooted in these 5 pillars. So I want to talk to you a bit about that, because if this interests you at all and resonates with you, I highly encourage you to join this community. Our first tenet, build momentum. What really knocked me out of my chair in the Change or Die article in Fast Company, which is where I first found it, is his discussion of Dr. Dean Ornish's health program for cardiac patients, and the distinctive note that Dean Ornish highly recommended people jump in, implement rapidly, see the changes. It knocked me out of my chair because I've been recommending this from the beginning in the Eat Like a Bear community. You've probably heard the message if you've followed me at all. But the fact is, my actual dissertation was on a similar topic. You can Google it. And so Amanda Rose, Rapid versus Gradual Reform in Central and Eastern Europe, with a similar notion that when you face massive change, be it gradual or rapid or whatever, is painful. And you need to structure your choices and your circumstances so that you can benefit from change as quickly as possible, because it will be painful regardless. It is. You know, we don't want to change. But what we want is the benefits. And if we can get those benefits immediately, whoo, we win. And this is actually the reasoning I use to structure the 3-day challenge. The 3-day challenge, which has massive success on its own. It has been on the cover of a magazine. It is driving so much of the success that we are seeing because people get in, they really focus, and they see, wow, I can do this. And then that momentum drives more success. Build momentum. That is what we are doing. This is a tenet of what we are doing. Our next tenet, act as if. Act as if. Act as if you're already there. Act as if you have already reached the very end of the finish line. This is why it's important. You've perhaps heard the stories about how I stayed engaged with my goal every single day, my goal of hiking, how I was engaged with it. But I want to tell you something else. When you're engaged with your big goal every single day, and then you are faced with that key problem we're always faced with all the time, which is represented in my talks by the donut, and you are faced with, do you eat the donut or do you make the decision to abstain? And that decision is what is supporting your long-term interests and your final goal, your big goal, your ability to get out and hike or kayak or whatever it is. And you're faced with, do you foster your long-term goal or do you eat the donut? And that donut offers a very powerful choice because the satisfaction from it is immediate. And so how do you compete with that? And it's so easy to give in and just eat it. But if you are acting as if you are the person who is out hiking on the Appalachian Trail or doing the Pacific Crest Trail as a thru hiker, for goodness sakes, and you right now weigh 280 pounds, which was my high weight, and you picture yourself at the very end and you already know you're getting there, okay, and you're faced with eating the donut, let me ask you this, your future hiker self, what did you say about that donut? What did you say about that donut? You didn't eat the donut because you know that the way you're getting there is by not eating it. Conversely, if you've kind of given up, you can't see yourself there, and you think you're just going to be fat in a year anyway, okay? Are you eating the donut? You're eating it all day long because you know what? If up here in your own mind, you're thinking of yourself as that future self who's not able to do that because you're overweight, you already know that you ate a bunch of donuts in the last year. That's what you know, and that's what you're telling yourself. Guys, act as if. It will be a very big theme in the community. Build evidence. The third tenet I discuss with you today. Build evidence in your own mind about yourself. We get posts in the community daily about how I don't know how all of you guys can do this because I can never say no to that thing, to the donut. I never can do it. I don't know, it must be easy for all the rest of you. I can't do it. And we approve the posts, but at the same time, I know you can't because you just told me. And what you really need to do is build evidence for yourself. For yourself. What does it matter what I think? Build it for yourself about the kind of person that you are. And I direct you here to my videos on YouTube about I'm not the kind of person who, can't versus don't. It fits into the psychology that we're trying to create here. And by the way, building evidence, I use this term because the way I think about this is it all comes down to that internal negotiation. You know, we all have it. There's always that part of ourselves that will try to convince us to eat the donut. And one of the most powerful things you can have in winning a negotiation is evidence, okay? And again, this is where the political science side comes in. So, hey mom, maybe that dissertation mattered after all. The fourth tenet, good days. Good days. I talk about good day strategies explicitly in the new book about cooked meals, but there is also a video on YouTube. So check out the channel and search for good day strategies. Good days. You guys, we all have days that are better than others. Some of us have more good days than other people, and some of our good days are better than other people's. But for each of our own selves, we have to acknowledge that while, yeah, there's probably a lot of bad days, there's a few days that are going to be better than others. And how can we leverage our time and our focus on those good days to end up with fewer bad days, to have bad days that are less bad than they used to be? And this group is highly centered around leveraging the assets of good days to shore up the bad. This is a key thing that has helped me have the consistency that I've had both in the weight loss phase and in maintenance. Respect space and time. And this is really about the value that we have for food. And maybe I could have called this fifth tenet food value, because I can tell you that my value for the donut, whatever it might be now, it is far, 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 far less than it was 5 years ago. I have a lot of distance in time from the donut, and certainly distance in space. I don't have any donuts here right now. So how can we leverage distance in time and space to change our value for food? We'll be talking a lot about space and time because these are strategic changes that we can make in our own life. Being aware that our proximity, I mean, we kind of all know it, right? We all know, like, if the donut's right there, it's going to be that much more tempting to eat it. But to the degree that we can be more mindful of that, we can create structures, we can plan for reactions, our own reactions, that allow us to implement in a very consistent way, in a way that helps us reach our long-term goals. I mean, maybe you are going to eat the donut at some point. That's really your own decision. And if you can understand the principles of this and start to integrate it into your life, you can more meaningfully make the choices that are going to propel you on that path towards consistently implementing the behavior that's going to drive your own long-term interests. Because that's ultimately what we're about. We're all going to have different goals. We're going to have different visions of ourselves at the very end of the finish line, doing what we're going to do. Some of that might involve some kind of food or whatever. I have no idea. We are all different. But if we can be mindful of the different things that really are holding us back from reaching those long-term goals, then we can craft our own decisions and reactions to get us where we want to be individually. And that's really my goal for this. And so I welcome you to the community if you will be joining us. And if you're not, please, here are our tenets. Apply them. Apply the ones that make sense to you. Find some others. Go out and do it and work for that change. And maybe you're part of the 10% and you're out and you're focused and you're doing it. That is amazing. That is really, truly amazing. And I love it. If you're joining our community, what you will find, there will be challenges for you every single day that you can engage in and give your reactions to if you'd like, or just like cling to them and see what other people are talking about. Find the community of the awesome ideas and the sharing that are based around these tenets. There will be a lot of challenges that are familiar. We're going to have a winning Wednesday. Who doesn't love winning Wednesday? But also discussions about how your win fits with certain tenets that you're working on that week. And you're going to see wins from other people and the ways they've implemented these things and the tenets that they're referring to and that they're working on. And so I really picture this as a community that's very positive and affirming of all of us, and that's highly engaged in these tenets and really working for that life transformation. Find some more specific information at the Bear Shop. I direct you there. And find more information about what we're eating. What we eat might all look a little bit different because we're all really finding our own groove and our own path. And I have quite a few resources on specifically what to eat. The community is based on the tenets of behavior that's more about how we're doing whatever it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're eating, how we're doing that every single day, and using it to change ourselves deep in here to get the life that we have always wanted to live.